investment and fraud. So I want to set a context here. One of the biggest stories that came up earlier on was about the Ekeza Sacco. And let's just give you a brief background of it. Ekeza Sacco was registered about 4 years ago. And in that time, it really expanded to about 26 branches across the entire country with almost 3 billion shillings in savings. Well, the members were told that after saving some amount with the Ekeza Sacco, they would get loans to buy houses through Gakuyo Real Estate. But
sounds perfect.
Yep, sounds really good. But when the deal is too good,
it
probably is too good to be real.
Right. Of course, it all went bad when members were unable to withdraw their money. Then, of course, national attention turned to the activities of this Sacco, and the downfall followed complaints over failure to facilitate allocation and construction of low-cost houses for its members. Now, the State Department Cooperatives have an inquiry report. This is a bit of what they found, and we should be displaying that on your screen in just a bit. These are findings from their inquiry. First of all, Trevor?
Yep, the State Department Cooperatives inquiry report showed that there was problem with liquidity. There was also poor management and mismanagement, misappropriation of funds, and poor record keeping. It doesn't end there, actually. There's more. They say the operations of the Sacco were mixed with other businesses. The chairman treated Sacco as a private property, intentional attempt to defraud the members for personal gain. That's according to the State Department Cooperatives inquiry report, despite the fact that this particular cooperative was registered in 2004.
That's right. So we have the recommendations. Let's not put that up on the screen right now because we want to get a reaction from our panelists here with us. And joining us, he's just now come onto our set right now, is Peter Owira, who's the Sacco Supervision Manager, SASRA. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Let's get a quick reaction while Peter's getting ready to give us his thoughts. Tony, we start with you. Your reaction to this, you've heard what the findings are.
Yes.
Are you surprised that it took that long to find out that all these things were happening?
Well, I'm not really surprised because we don't have a watertight financial prudence, especially out of banks. Apart from banks, we have SACCOs, we have other financial institutions. There is no watertight regulatory supervision. So I'm not surprised because even if you look at, there is a new bill called the Financial Market Conduct Bill, was intended to bring more regulatory supervision for these financial institutions. So I'm not surprised at all that this happened. It's something that if you're not careful, many others will happen.
If you're not careful, many?
Yes.
Okay, that's rather worrying. Carol?
I concur with him to a greater extent. If we go directly to what you're saying, if you have savings of about 3 billion shillings, 3 billion shillings, and who are the persons contributing to the savings, to this amount? They're contributing, from their bread and butter. So I think the CMA should play an oversight role. But if you look at the CMA Act, Cap 485A, it specifically leaves out SACCOs from its ambit of control. We have SACCO members where we're about 80,000 members. By any stretch of the imagination, this number is greater number of members than in a bank, right? And if the core capital at 3 billion is greater than the core capital of what you need to start a bank, CMA needs to have an oversight role, whichever way you look at it. Why the Act deliberately leaves it out is, I don't think it envisaged to get that number of deposits, but now that we see what the problems are, the CMA needs to step in.
It's interesting that you bring up CMA before I come to Peter, because we recently had another situation, if I just have the finer details about that. On Monday, the Daily Nation had an exclusive story about Kenyan Bitcoin investors who fell prey to a Brazilian pyramid scheme.
Right. Now,
this should have been under CMA. You're saying CMA is, okay, because CMA, Central Bank are being asked, how come this was allowed to happen for so long? So are our regulators able to regulate every scheme across this country that is being touted as the next best thing in terms of how to make some money?
But remember, with the Bitcoin saga, the central bank has been categorical.
They've warned.
Do not participate.
Is that all they can do? And you're not speaking on behalf of central bank?
No, I'm not. These views are personal.
Yes.
But the central bank has said, do not participate. When you're going to invest in Bitcoin, the other day, what's the gentleman, Gerald Cotton, the gentleman who died with a password and he had about $2 million. Is it 2 million? No, $200 million, right? So he dies with a password, or so his widow says, right? So they cannot access their investments in the Bitcoin. So you have Bitcoin, you have Ether, you have coin something, and the gentleman, God rest his soul, has died. So what happens to your investment? The security of investment has to be, dare I say, secure, for lack of a better word. That's why the central bank is saying, And I don't think Kenyan investors, dare I say, are sophisticated enough. When I want to buy a shamba, will I go and tell Jogona that take bitcoins? There's got to be, in any legal tender, there has to be transferability, I think.
Peter, what do you make of it? How did this take so long, right under our noses, since 2004 up until now?
Perhaps we need to start by appreciating the fundamentals of a cooperative. Cooperatives are entities that deal with the members. For me to be able to do business with a cooperative, I must buy shares according to their bylaws. And with that, I own the membership and transact with the cooperative itself. That in itself means that cooperative does not deal with non-members itself. Now, what that means that the people who manage cooperative are entrusted by these members because they are one and the same thing, they are our own. And therefore, because of that level of confidence that members have on their management that they've elected themselves, there is an element of trust until things go bad. But let me comment on something where we think that the laws governing cooperatives are not watertight. That might not be necessarily true. I come from SASRA, the Sacco Societies Regulatory Authority, where we regulate the deposit-taking SACCOs. Of course, all SACCOs take deposits, but the kind of deposits that we are talking about are demand deposits. Those are the deposits that you can put in your SACCO and come for them anytime when you want. Now, in his own wisdom, the minister decided that he does regulations to cover for those SACCOs because they deal with financial intermediation and therefore there is an element of risk. Yeah. Now, that means that there are other sector of SACCOs that have not been brought under prudential standards. These are generally SACCOs that also take deposits, but these deposits, you cannot have them anytime you want unless you're parting ways with the SACCO. Now, with that, they might have not been put under prudential standards so that they give us returns on a daily basis and what have you, but there is no vacuum because there is a commissioner for cooperative development. Unfortunately, she's here dealing with that in terms of ensuring that they also comply, but not under prudential standards. Now, the only challenge that my colleagues might have seen not to be watertight is that there has not been regulations to put them under prudential regulation. Yeah. And for this, already the works are being done to come up with those regulations so that they can be brought on board.
Okay. All right. Well, sorry, was that your last point?
Yes.
Yes, it was. Okay, and I want to let our viewers know that you can weigh in on this conversation. Have you been defrauded in what you thought was an investment? 2242 is our SMS line. You can call us as well. The numbers, we continually scroll them on the screen and use the hashtag Daybreak. We'll be reading some of your comments, whether it is in a SACCO that you thought would change your life, some investment, Bitcoin, whatever it is, or a pyramid scheme.
Absolutely.
Some of those popular ones out there. Let us know and we'll read your feedback even as we continue. We want to introduce now Mary Mwangi, Commissioner for Cooperatives. Many thanks, Mary Mongei, I beg your pardon, a slip of the tongue there. Many thanks indeed for joining us for this discussion. You played quite a crucial role in the inquiry report. In regards to Ekeza Sacco, we've put some of those graphics on the screen. What is the current status? What are the latest developments in regards to the Ekeza Sacco? Let's start there before you react to what some of the other guests have said. What can you tell us for now?
Thank you very much for inviting me to this show. But I want to say Cooperatives is a member-based organization. Mm-hmm. Members come together for a common cause. They have a need they want to fulfill, and that's why they come together to undertake that as a group, because we talk about economies of scale. And in cooperatives, we have various types of cooperative. One of them is savings and credit. It's a type, one of the types. Mm-hmm. The other one, we have agricultural marketing. Mm-hmm. The other one, we have transport cooperatives. And the list goes on and on. It means cooperatives can be in any sector of this country. Mm-hmm. I want to say from the onset, cooperatives have done a lot of good for Kenyans.
Okay.
And if you talk to many Kenyans, you'll hear that I am a proud owner of a piece of land, house, car, dowry paid because of a cooperative. However, in the recent past, we have realized because the Sacco brand has been so successful, people have wanted to associate with that brand. And by association, then it means that people even who do not understand the cooperative principles, because we are driven by cooperative principles, have come on the bandwagon trying to manipulate or to be schemy and con people out of their money. So the Ekeza case, and I don't want to talk about it because even today it is in court. Yes. It started in 2014. in 2016, late 2016, we started seeing telltale signs of something is not quite well here. And we put in our inspectors. Then we went in and because of the report that came back, we put it under liquidation. Then, of course, they appealed, and that's the genesis of this report that we have seen.
Which is in the public domain.
Which is now in the public domain.
You shouldn't be worried that talking about that report will get you in trouble.
And that's in the public domain. So what has happened, I think that was the question, what has happened from the day 21st of February up to now? What we did, because of the findings of the report, we have an interim committee of 5. And this group is supposed to oversee the implementation of the recommendations that were proposed and adopted by the general membership in that report. And this particular team now has drawn a roadmap, and we are going to implement that with the help of the officers, cooperative officers, at both the Nairobi County and the national government, because, as you know, cooperative is devolved. So what we are telling members, the recommendations shall be implemented. It might take a little bit more time than expected, but I think we are going to use the Cooperative Societies Act to implement those recommendations, because if money was moved from Ekeza Sacco to a personal account, we will give the necessary surcharge orders. We have given them notice to surcharge, and they will react. There is a 14-day window. After that, then we'll give the orders if nothing happens. So we are on course on that. If there is any criminality, then I think my cabinet secretary has already talked to the relevant arms of government.
Be that as it may,
Yes.
this cooperative, this Sacco was actually registered in 2014 by your commissioner for cooperatives. How did this take so long? Do we have a list of what the operations of the Saccos are and what they're doing? Because this was registered under you. You knew it was operating. Do we have a list of what's going on in the Saccos?
It was registered in 2014,
Yes.
admittedly. And as I said, cooperative function is devolved. So the promoters are at the county. When it was promoted, it met the threshold according to the requirements.
But nobody follows up what they do.
No, they
after
do.
that.
The county is supposed to follow up. Day-to-day supervision, it is supposed to be at the county. And it only came to our notice because we have like 13,000 registered Saccos.
13,000 registered
Sacco in total. So in every county, we have officers who are county-based. And their work really is to, after we register, is to start ensuring compliance. Because after we give a registration certificate, then the county and the management of that team, the promoters, must do a first AGM. They must call people together, agree on the statutory requirements, account opening, auditor, borrowing powers, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that is a county affair supervision. So when the county notices there's non-compliance issues, then they take action. If it's too much, then they collaborate.
Briefly, before I bring in Tony, they say hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
Any gaps that you now look back and say, if this had been done, maybe the situation would not have been as bad as it is now?
Yeah. What we are trying to say, Ekeza was registered to operate in Nairobi. The day it moved to Kiambu, the Kiambu County officers should have raised an alarm because they have not participated. The day it moved, and those are telltale signs that we are saying. And the other telltale signs that we are saying is a cooperative is a business for us, by us.
Okay.
When you start hearing it is my business,
then something is wrong.
There's something
And you
is
mentioned
wrong.
bylaws also, but it extended and brought in other members. But before we get into that, we have a call online. Patrick Ndungu from Karen. Patrick, good morning. What's your comment or question?
Morning to you, Trevor and Wahiga,
Good morning.
and the panelists.
Yes, go ahead with your comment or question.
Okay, my question actually is about maybe to Mary. I would like to know who really controls these marooning cooperatives and circles, because personally I'm a victim, I would say, of for those fraud.
Sorry, Patrick, say that again.
Okay, I'm saying that I think the government really needs to take control on these marooning cooperative circles and also kind of pyramid schemes.
Yes.
Because you get into an investment, you are promised that the return on investment will be like 80% every year, of which never happens. I'm talking from an experience.
Yes.
That we invested some money in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Then we were supposed to get a return on investment every year on 80%.
Yeah.
But when it came up to now the year that we were supposed to pay, we were not given that money. We were told the people who were to buy the produce, because it was a farm produce.
Which investment scheme was this?
Yeah, sorry.
Which investment scheme was this?
Okay, I don't want to just mention the company, or the support.
Okay, but generally, what was it about?
It was about an agribusiness concept.
Agribusiness.
Yeah.
Okay.
So really, when it came to the month they were supposed to pay us,
Yes.
Okay.
it was pushed forward. We were told now we will get it after another 1 year.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So really, who is there to look into this? Really, things get so bad on Kenyans who are investing.
All right, Patrick. That's Patrick Ndungu calling from Karen again. And the deal is too good. 80% return on investment.
My goodness, that's perfect. Yes, we need to take a break. Quick okay, so maybe we give you a quick reaction and then we'll get thoughts from each of you when we come back.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say cooperative business is, what do I call it, a typical business that grows slowly. What am I saying? I'm saying when you hear that you're getting into a circle and the wording is that the more you save, the more chances you're likely. You stand a chance to win. Please, that's a telltale sign because the deposit I put is assigned to my name. So where will this other money for a lottery kind of thing come from? That's one. Then the other thing, when you are being told an interest of 20%, you should also ask yourself, what business is this they are doing that will generate this kind of interest? So what I'm trying to say, cooperative, the growth is organic. It is for business that is legit. We do not do other funny business that, what can I say? A black market type of business. We do legit business. So when you hear that you have this very superfluous, interesting rates, please be worried. Be worried because it is not real.
Okay. Can we get a quick reaction from you?
I think we have a problem listening to both, that we have a systemic problem. I think probably it's in law, that we don't have prudential guidelines that, because there are people who are vulnerable, like what Patrick is saying. He says a 20% interest, anyone will be interested. So how do you cover for those people? Because if prudential guidelines might be within the county government, they don't have the capacity to do that. So how can we stem that problem? Because that's a problem that we have and it's a serious problem. Yes.
All right, let's take a quick break here, but first telltale sign. 80% guaranteed return on investment, not a good idea. It's probably not legit. That's point one. We'll keep on telling you the red flags of all the investments that you need to know in this broadcast. The hashtag is Daybreak. We're back in just a bit.